What's good, Josh? Man, DL Saint, it's time for a DL Short. Now, listen, y'all know I've been talking about what's going on in Florida here for a while. I've been talking about what's going on with the insurance issues. We've been talking about home prices. We've been talking about all sorts of stuff, right? Well, a couple of days ago, I did a short, and we were watching a video from Raising Wildflowers, right? This is a young woman and her family who were down here. They bought their home cash, and they're saying with all of the increases to property, to insurance, to for utilities, for food, for gas, and she was just giving us the increases to her bottom line over the past few years, and we were, it was like over 137% increase for her. It's like, look, we can't afford to live here. We're going to sell our house. We're going to fix our house up. And we're going to sell it, and we're going to get out of state. Right. So there's another Floridian that I found just in my in my queue. He calls himself Sarasota Tim. I believe this brother is retired and he's living in Sarasota, which is really nice. On If you guys never been down there, it's pretty cool. But Sarasota has a lot of big money down there, so you have that big extreme that is really have yachts and have nots down there because people do have boats. So it's just a lot of big money that goes down to Sarasota, and Sarasota blew up over the couple years, with the pandemic and people working remotely and stuff like that. So I just wanted to show his video. It's like a 9-minute video, and we're just gonna watch his video. And you're not just hearing it from me, a retired black guy. You're not just hearing it from Raising Wildflowers. You know what I mean? Just like the typical American, with a family. You can hear from another guy who's like on Social Security. I think his whole channel is how he's living his life on Social Security. So I think he's semi-retired. So let's check this out, guys. Again, this is Sarasota Tim.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Sarasota Tim, my last day of work until maybe Saturday before I work again. It could be Friday. I forget. But I'm working on a Monday, which is a good thing because, they only got me doing these gigs on weekends to support my Social Security. But I was just going to say on that housing market, a lot of people are being foreclosed on right now because they are house poor. They bought these houses over the last couple of years with hardly anything down, and they did a survey that over 60-something% of the people are regretting they bought the house they're living in and saying that they should have waited or bought something different. So you got people in Florida and all over the country that are falling behind their payments because they're damn house poor. They can't afford these high interest rate payments. They hardly put anything down. They got no money to make home improvements or buy a lawnmower. They got high HOA fees, and they can just keep raising you. They have high property taxes. And if you live in Florida, you can't even afford the homeowner's insurance for the floods and hurricanes that we get here. Most of the insurance companies have left, and that only leaves a few that are all just raping people. I mean, it just takes all the fun out. And there's a chart I saw that, it used to be the cost of ownership and renting were like, right together. And where the owner, just under renting, which was obviously a better deal if you could be cheaper to buy than to rent. But now the charts, if you look at them, you got renting here and ownership up here, cost. And so where's the advantage when the homes are actually depreciating in value ever so slightly, almost everywhere, in the fact that they're depreciating from their all-time high. When they went up 35% and they were at their all-time high a year or a year and a half ago, they're still above the pre-pandemic values. There's no question. But they're coming down. And that's not good either because they need to come down below, the pre-pandemic prices. They were already stupid. 350,000 was the average.
And I want to stop it there just for a second. Everything he's saying is real talk, right? It kind of echoes what I was saying. It was kind of echoing what other people have been saying. There are a lot of folks who are like, well, you're not going to see a spike in foreclosures. You're not going to see prices come down. And I've been telling people like, it's going to happen, bro. It's going to happen. Interest rates are not coming down. People are saying that the Fed is going to pause, they're going to pause and raising interest rate. All these numbers are coming in. And a lot of these numbers are kind of sketchy. I don't know. Like, I don't know where they're getting these numbers from, but they're talking about the unemployment numbers are strong. And they're talking about, their record profits from these companies. So what's the Fed going to do? Like, all right, this is cool. We got to continue to fight inflation. So we're going to continue to raise the rates. Maybe we'll give a little pause because they're looking at the markets. I'm not quite sure what the markets are doing right now, but there's, a lot of people are saying, well, they're gonna start cutting rates and rates are going to come down to 2% again. I don't see that happening anytime soon, if it happens at all. Like I said, Jerome Powell is going to continue to raise interest rates because his biggest concern, his primary concern, is inflation. So what does that mean? The pressure on the banks to really bring in their lending. They're not going to take any risk. You see what's going on with commercial real estate. That is going to be huge. So that's going on right now. What he's saying about the insurance companies, a lot of insurance companies, most have left the state. And, there's the governor of the state is more concerned with his run for the White House than he is what's going on in the state. Is really negatively affecting folks. Those people who got locked in at, 2% or under 3% in their homes, they're not going anywhere. They're good. But if they can't get insurance on their home, or their insurance goes up 50, 60, now people are saying it's over 50, 60% in some cases or higher, they might not be able to keep that home, because if they can't find an insurer, the banks are going to find an insurer and they're going to tack that on to the mortgage automatically, which means how are they going to be able to pay their mortgage? If they can't pay their mortgage, they're going to lose the house. You see how this all plays in, right? So let's continue.
Price now it's like $400,000, $425,000 at 7% interest, and we're never in our lifetime most likely going to ever see a 2% or 3% mortgage rate, 30-year fixed. Probably not going to see it. So anyway, the rents are also coming down because people are losing their jobs. They talk about the jobs market went up. Don't believe it. Those are Ubers and Instacart and product demonstrators and people doing part-time side hustle jobs that they're counting. The government is the news is so fake. This country is in a recession and people are struggling. The prices are high and they need to come down. There's no way it's sustainable. Most people don't make even 40 grand a year, much less 100 grand a year. And so you tell me how anybody can afford $1,800, $1,500 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment. So, and the food costs ridiculous. They're trying to sell cars. Guess what they're doing? They're saying, oh, cars are now $500 under sticker. They're discounting them again. Yeah, big deal. $500 under sticker. I'm used to $5,000 off sticker. Now I'm being facetious, but at least a couple of grand, $3,000, depending on if it's an expensive car. Maybe if it's a Toyota Corolla, you got $1,000 off or $800 off back in the day, and that was a pretty good deal. But other cars, you get at least $2,500 discount. Remember? Well, now there's.
And see, this is a dude. He's older. He remembers what it used to be like. I remember what it used to be like. You know what I mean? Me and this guy were in the same age group. I guarantee you we're within 3-4 years of each other, right? So we understand what it used to be like. He was saying like, $1,800 for a 1-bedroom. Mind you, he's down in Sarasota. Up here, right? We're north of Sarasota, Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete area, depending on where you are. Oh, bro. I mean, you're looking well north of that. You're looking at $2,500. If you're downtown Tampa in the good, like, where the high rises are on the water, or you in St. Pete near the water, or you over in, Clearwater near the water, yeah, you're going to pay. You're gonna pay. You're paying north of $2,000 for a 1 or 2 bedroom. Yeah, I mean, they got up. I mean, it got to the point where people couldn't afford. People who lived here in Florida couldn't afford to continue to pay rent where they were living, and they're getting kicked out. And yes, the rental rates have adjusted slightly. And what I mean by that is they stopped going up. They leveled out where they were. That's gonna happen. Who knows? Maybe another year or so. You know what I mean? Maybe 12 to 18 months. Who knows? They might go down, but they haven't gone down yet. They've just leveled out. And the cost of homes have gone way up. So you have this big gap. Now, again, in theory, those home prices should come down, but where are you going to get the loan for the money? Right? Where are you going to get the loan for the money? And when you're talking about like cost of living wise, and when you're looking at food, utilities, and rent and or mortgage, the numbers out here in Florida and Central Florida are getting real close to LA numbers. Miami is like real close to LA numbers. So people are really, really struggling. Let's continue.
Saying that they're offering $500 off. Well, it's a gimmick. Guess what they did? If you go look at any new car now, because they have more inventory than they did, because that chip shortage, they finally caught up to it. And they needed to make cars. People still need jobs at the manufacturer, so they're making these cars, but they're not flooding the car dealers with hundreds of cars where they have this high dollar flooring fee that they pay every 30 days. A car sits there on the lot. So what they do now is they have a limited inventory. They sell off a sheet, and they talk about giving you $500 off. But guess what the manufacturer did? They got in cahoots with the rip-off car dealers, and they raised the sticker prices $2,000. That's right. Compare an MSRP label 2 years ago to an MSRP label in the same car. Take a 4Runner, for example. You'll see. So now they have this tremendous profit margin, way higher than they did already have, of 25% to 35 or more percent on expensive cars. Then they give you $500 off. It's a big gimmick. It's a big shell game, So, and people are buying into it. I don't know where they get the money, because the income hasn't gone up. People aren't paying people more money to offset these high interest rates and these high prices. I mean, a new car is 50, 60 grand. It's lots of changes. The bottom line is, folks, is we're seeing a tsunami. The tsunami comes in, but first the water goes way out. There's a delay, and then here it comes, right? And then it just keeps coming. And that's what you're going to see every quarter that passes for the rest of 2023 and all of 2024, at least the first half. Every quarter is going to be one bad news story after the other about the stock market going down, interest rates getting higher, unemployment going up. It will bring prices down, because when people can't buy or aren't buying, they're going to discount. They're going to lower your rent. They're going to do what they can. They don't want things to sit there vacant. And these people that are holding out on their house because they think that they can get over list price, wake up. Who can afford that extraordinarily high, inflated, overvalued price like 35% and a 7% mortgage? So if you want to sell your home, you better come down to earth and drop your price to where somebody can afford it. Besides that, who's going to finance them when they're only making 50, 60 grand a year and the mortgage is going to be like $3,000 a month? I mean, what bank in their right mind? Well, I'll tell you what bank. The government is actually loaning money and doing mortgages for people with crap credit and only.
And I think you guys heard of that. He's talking about a program that the Biden administration announced that, if you had bad credit, they were going to prioritize you and let you get a home. I didn't look into the details, but, they did the same thing during the pandemic. And again, that's very risky. But those loans are being backed by the United States government. So You know, it's one of those things. If you qualify, jump on it, but make sure you can afford whatever it is you're trying to buy. Make sure you can afford it. Because once you get in there, you know, it's going to be problems. Once you get in there, you know what I mean? Like the AC goes out, you got to replace that unit. You know, if something happens, you know, when the kids break the windows, man, you got to fix them windows. If something goes wrong with the pipes, you got to fix that. You got to call a plumber. So, you know, a lot of people, they're like, oh, do this, you're going to get you a house, but then they can't afford to maintain the house. Some people need to rent and put money away because they don't have any money in reserves. So, and that's what he's talking about. So shout out to Sarasota Tim. Like he was really talking about it. He wanted to talk about that program where they're letting people in with terrible credit. They're getting them on, you know, in at 1%. They're basically letting these people get into these homes at the top of the market, knowing that we're headed for hard times. That's definitely going to be a problem. And he's right about that. He's absolutely right about that. Shout out to Sarasota Tim. I'm gonna link this video in the description. Make sure you guys go over there and support him. Check him out. You know, like I said, he's retired. I haven't watched a whole bunch of his content, but you know, even the beginning of this content of this video, he's pulling out. Looks like he lives in a trailer park. There's a lot of people who do that. You know, and another thing he said about like the insurance, and I'm correction, what he was talking about renters. You know, and he's like they're going to lower rent. I don't know. They might try, some may, but the thing with the people who rent, especially at these multifamily, these big properties, those big properties rely on banks and loans to handle their overhead, to handle their labor costs, to handle all that stuff. They weren't betting on having to get a new loan to maintain this property at 7-8% and more. They weren't betting on that. These guys are in these loans for less than 3-4%, and these loans are going to come due here within the next couple years, if not sooner. And they're going to need to take, I don't know, making up numbers here, they need to take out 10, 20, $30 million loan or more to maintain this property. They're going to be looking at paying double-digit percentage on that money, which means they're not going to do it. They're not going to, that debt, they're not going to be able to do it. And you see what's going on in California where these companies are trying to leverage the fact that, hey, we'll walk away if y'all don't work with us, banks. Someone's going to have to take the loss. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to lower rent. You know, they're not going to be able to raise it. So they're going to be hoping to keep rent right where it is, if they're going to be able to keep the property at all. So people out there who got money, it's going to be great deals, right? Because like Warren Buffett said, when there's blood in the streets, bro, that's when you buy. That's when cash is king. And that's where we are headed to. Sarasota Tim said it, well, that analogy with the tsunami. The water runs out there and it goes out, and there's a delay, and then it comes in and it keeps coming. I think he's right. This is the beginning of a very tough cycle, guys. Get ready. Prepare yourself. So I just wanted to show that video that, you know, this brother Tim, he's down there where the rubber meets the road. This is a real life guy doing real life stuff and just giving you his perspective. Now, you're going to hear on the mainstream media, you hear the perspective of the rich people and what's going on Wall Street, and you hear the perspective of those kind of in the middle, right? And that was Raising Wildflowers. She's kind of in the middle where she owns her own property and this and that. Now you have the guys who, you know, retired, living in Florida, just trying to make it on their Social Security, and they're telling you what they're seeing. So, hey, y'all, prepare yourself. That's all I got to say about that. Prepare yourself because it's here. All right. I'm going to talk to y'all later, man. I'm DL saying peace.